This is the final video in the series about real employment conditions for backend developers in Prague. Today, we're breaking down a specific market segment, big tech and companies with comparable requirements. I'll cover what the hiring process actually looks like in practice, what interview stages await you, what they test at each stage, how much time preparation takes, and most importantly, how to even get a chance at an interview when hundreds or thousands of candidates apply for a single position. Before we talk about the interviews themselves, it's important to understand one thing. Most candidates get filtered out before the interviews even start. They simply never make it to the stage of talking with an interviewer. So first, let's break down the paths backend developers actually take to get to an HR screening call. There are several main options. The most obvious and most common way, applying to an open position as an external candidate. But the market reality is this. Big tech positions in Prague get hundreds of applications within the first few hours. Sometimes these positions get reposted after a couple of weeks. Not because they didn't find anyone, but to avoid scaring off new candidates with the application count. There is a chance to move forward here, but it's low. This usually works if you have highly relevant experience or specific knowledge the company is looking for, but doesn't always explicitly state in the job description. The second path, internal programs for students. These are usually oriented toward final year students from technical universities, often with a strong competitive programming or algorithmic background. This is a viable scenario, but very narrow. It doesn't fit everyone. The most reliable and effective way, a referral. If someone already working at the company recommends you, your resume enters a separate internal pipeline. Your chance of talking with HR becomes significantly higher, provided you actually fit the position. Important to understand, a referral doesn't guarantee an offer, but it often removes the main barrier, automatic resume screening. Another way, writing to HR directly on LinkedIn. Many people do this, and it doesn't always lead to an interview. But even if they don't invite you right away, you establish a direct contact for the future. In my case, this is how I got interviews at major companies several times. But let's be honest. In the Mang segment, you're almost always the one reaching out first, not the other way around. Big tech-level companies in Prague. When we talk about Prague, companies that can be classified as big tech or comparable in terms of requirements and compensation include Microsoft, Pure Storage, Red Hat, Cisco, Oracle, SAP, JetBrains, SimilarWeb, Veeam, Product Board. Yes, Prague has offices of other global companies, but backend developer positions there appear extremely rarely. Now let's move on to the actual interview process. HR screening. This is a relaxed conversation. At this stage, you talk about your experience. HR tells you about the position and team expectations about the role and salary are discussed. The goal of this stage, to check soft skills. Reasonable expectations fit within the salary range. Algorithm stages. Algorithms, this is big tech's key filter. Often they first give online tests on platforms like Codility. These might include algorithmic problems, sometimes SQL, sometimes theoretical tests. Next usually comes a live algorithmic interview. Here, they don't expect perfect code, but rather, understanding the solution idea, ability to reason through problems, knowledge of algorithmic complexity, understanding trade-offs between memory and speed, additional technical stages. After algorithms, there might be another algorithmic round, live coding, or straight to system design. This depends on the company and how confidently you pass the previous stages. Live coding. Live coding. one of the most challenging stages. Assignments can vary greatly. API design, OOP problems, implementing part of a feature working with data structures. Due to its subjective nature, this stage isn't everywhere, but where it exists, it often becomes the most stressful. System design. System design, this is already engineer-level conversation. Here they test ability to think architecturally, understanding of scaling working with databases, queues, and cache experience making technical decisions. Sometimes they give an abstract problem. Sometimes they discuss your real experience. Behavioral interview. The final stage. Behavioral interview with a manager. Here they evaluate communication, responsibility, growth potential, team fit. Sometimes they ask you to answer using frameworks like STAR or SMART. This helps standardize the evaluation. Now, an important question. How long does it usually take to prepare for big tech interviews? To be honest, this preparation almost never takes just a couple of weeks. On average, the picture looks like this. If you already have a strong foundation in algorithms, preparation might take about 2 to 4 months of regular practice. If you haven't solved algorithmic problems in a while, this time frame often increases to 4 to 8 months. And if you're starting almost from scratch, the preparation process can easily stretch to a year. Offer and compensation. After successfully passing all stages, the candidate receives an offer. Usually, compensation consists of base salary, annual bonuses, stock, and sometimes a sign-on bonus. In the big tech and high-pay company segment in Prague, total compensation is often 1.5 to 2 times higher than in product or outsourcing companies. As we can see, getting into big tech is a complex, multi-stage process. Companies don't just select those who know a programming language, but those who are ready to prepare systematically, meet their standards, and are capable of passing all selection stages. This concludes our video series about salaries, requirements, and the backend development market in Prague. Upcoming episodes will cover employment in IT across Europe. And if you're interested in a specific topic, write about it in the comments below the video.